Yeah. All right. I had to do something a little bit different to bring in the live stream. Welcome to another episode of the live stream show. So glad you're here. And today the plan was to have a brilliant guest, friend of mine by the name of Haley Gray. And I just heard from Haley that unfortunately, she's not going to make it. So even the best laid plans sometimes go awry. Unfortunately, she told me that she had to put down her dog. And this morning was the only time she could find an appointment to do that. So I'm feeling kind of sad for her. And it's always hard to say goodbye to your dog. If you've had that experience with that, you know, your dog is, if you're a dog lover, your dog ends up being this really member of this family, a member of your family. And when they go, because we all, for the most part, outlive our dogs, they're only with us for a really brief period. And anyway, it's always sad when it's their time. So I am still here for you. And today's topic is, why does your social media suck? Which I actually picked up from one of Haley's recent videos that she created. And I thought, that's a provocative title. Where can we go with that? And so I'm going to take this in a little bit different direction than I had planned, but still have some really good things to share with you. The problem with social media and the problem with content creators and the content that we create is that it's all too easy to fall into various traps, which results in turning out what is very mediocre content. Content that isn't particularly outstanding, content that doesn't necessarily give a lot of value. And I want to just approach this in, I think, a kind of different way and give you some tools, like immediately things that you can put into action right now, today, that will completely shift the way that you approach going onto social media. And I'm going to give you 3 questions to ask yourself. And when you find the answers to these 3 questions, you will entirely revolutionize and upgrade and up-level your social media game. Are you ready for that? All right, let's hit the intro. Recorded live in Boston, Massachusetts, this is the Livestream Show. In a world full of underexposed entrepreneurs, the Livestream Show is your gateway to a global community of livestream pioneers who dare to go live and create something special and unexpected, which could only happen because it was live. I'm your host, Brad Powell. Let's get on with the show. All right, we're back. So here we go. I was listening to an interview just this morning with this very creative entrepreneur, comedian, and tremendously successful content creator. Not just in comedy, but he describes himself as a comedic thought leader. His name is Michael Jr., goes by Michael Jr., and he's got great storytelling, great things to share. But when he was talking about how he got into comedy and what he feels makes him different than pretty much every other comedian out there, is his mindset and his attitude when he approaches the work of making people laugh. And so when he was starting, you know, the whole thing about comedy and the reason that it's difficult, like to do stand-up comedy is a very challenging, risky proposition, because you're thinking, oh my gosh, what if nobody laughs? You know, like, what if I get up on stage and it totally bombs and nobody laughs? And so the object becomes, how can I go out there in front of my audience and make them laugh? And this is a metaphor, if you will, for, I think, what happens with many of us when we approach doing our social media. We go out onto our social media platforms, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, and we are looking for not necessarily what can I do to make people laugh, but what can I do to get that feedback, that engagement, that immediate positive thing, whether it's a like or whether it's just simply a view, like eyeballs, whether people join me, all these kinds of things, all these metrics, which, deep inside is all about self-acceptance. Like, I need to do this so that I will feel like I'm doing something worthwhile, like so that I personally am worthwhile. And what Michael Jr. had to say about this was that he shifted his mindset so that his first step was, instead of going out on stage to make people laugh, he said, what if I give them the opportunity to laugh? And that was a really good first step. But then his next and final phase of this was, okay, what if I go out in front of this audience and what can I give? Period. Not even about laughter, just what does this audience need from me and what can I give? And I swear, if you take this approach in your social media, in all the activity that you do online, and you come to the place not about what's going to happen to you, is this going to grow my business? Is this going to feed my ego? Is this going to help me in some way? But you are really looking for the opportunity to be generous and to give value and really be listening well to your audience so that you understand what they could use. Like, what are things that would be really useful to them, and provide those things. If you do that, you will stand out, and your social media will no longer be in that mediocre class or less or worse. It will be outstanding. It will be tremendously outstanding. It will be very refreshing. And this is one of the things that I find I like about this particular medium, going live, is because when you are in this world, it's like I'm on stage. It's like I'm, inviting you here to my virtual stage, and in a performative way, I am standing in front of you, and I'm here to give you value, and I'm here to give you what I hope is going to be something useful and helpful as you go forward. And even in times when things don't go right, like I was expecting to have a guest to interview, and here we go. Like, okay, so that didn't happen. So now I'm doing my thing. I'm still showing up. I'm still being generous. I'm still wanting to give you something that will be helpful. So I'm going to keep this fairly short. Here's the 3 questions that you can ask yourself that will help set you up every time, so that when you're going, and it doesn't matter like what you're doing, whether it's social media post or a video that you're making or a blog that you're writing or an interview that you're doing, or even any project, like if you're creating an online course or whatever it is you do in your work, you can ask yourself these 3 questions, and it will have this shift in how you approach. And it'll turn things around so that you're no longer thinking about yourself and whether or not you can do it, and whether or not you will succeed, and whether or not you're good enough, and whether or not the work you do, is reaching the aspirational goal that you have for the work that you do. Like all of that stuff will just start falling away, and you'll focus on the gifts that you have to bring. So question number 1 is, what do I want to experience with this project? What do I want to experience with this piece of content? What do I want to experience with this interaction that I am facilitating when I go on social media? So what's the experience that I'm looking for? Second question is, what do I want to create with this project? And the third one is, what do I want, and I'm going to forget this, let's see, it's what do I want to experience? I should have written this down. What do I want to create? And I'm going to forget the third one. Oh no, this is so bad. I shouldn't have told you there were 3. That's an old joke. Like, if you come up with 3 things, you can almost guarantee that by the time you get to the third one, it'll be gone. Oh, that's so funny. Well, I'll put a link in the comments to the thing where I heard this, as well as all 3 questions so that you can take them with you. But my point with all of this is that when you ask yourself these questions, you are moving out of the place of thinking about yourself. And you're also like, when we do projects, we do something, like we do a post on social media, and then we see what happened. And either it got some kind of response or it didn't. Like, often, especially if you are familiar with posting things and not getting very good feedback and basically getting crickets or no response at all, then you go into this kind of downward spiral where you're thinking, well, what did I do wrong? And what could I do that would be different? And how do I fix this? And I've been doing this for a long time. So, what's wrong with me? And what are all the things that I could be doing that would be better? And you can start, first of all, beating yourself up. But this whole direction that you're focusing on is the past. It's thinking about what didn't happen in the way that you wanted it. Why wasn't this as good as I wanted it to be? Why didn't I get the result that I was looking for? And you're focused on the past. And when you ask these questions, what's the experience that I want from this? And what do I want to create with this project? Now you're thinking about the future. You're thinking about, oh, and the third one is, I remember. The third question is, what do I want to contribute with this project? So what do I want to experience? What do I want to create? And what do I want to contribute? Now you're visualizing a future that can be whatever you want it to be. And when you are focused on that future, and you can see it clearly, like you literally answer those questions as in, here is what I'm going for, and you can see it, and you can share it with your audience, like this is what I'm really doing here. First of all, you're going to have a point of view. Second of all, you're going to have something that you believe in and that you stand for. And third, this is the most powerful part, the people out there who believe in the same things that you believe and stand for the same things that you stand for and care about the same things that you care about, they are going to start showing up. They are going to start responding to what you're doing and the direction that you're going and the journey that you are taking them on. And this is how you move the needle from having super mediocre stuff to something that is way beyond normal. Moving into extraordinary, moving into something that will literally move people to take action. So there you go. See if I can say them again. Here's those 3 questions. What kind of experience do I want to have with this project? What do I want to create with this project? And what do I want to contribute with this project? Think of that. All right, so if you had a light bulb with any of that, right, Linda, that's a good guess. Linda says, results, outcome. Thank you for those prompts. That was close. Great to see you here, Linda. And what I want to leave you with is that I am working on a new project, and I have been developing in the last, it's really only been about 3 months, but I've been developing this new direction, which I find, again, revolutionary. And it's all about the limitations of a lot of the marketing methods that we're seeing. Like a lot of this kind of tried and now getting tired ways that people are doing online marketing. And this includes things like webinars and 20-day challenges or 5-day challenges, and these kinds of things that are demanding, like super demanding of people's time, in that it requires folks to register and then show up and then sit in front of their computer in order to consume content on a regular basis and learn something and get a training. And even though it's maybe free, they're getting, they have to really focus and sit down to do this. And what I'm seeing is that, first of all, that this medium is getting kind of tired out. Like there's not a lot of innovation in the way these are being done. And second of all, we're all so busy that people just don't have time. Like all the online marketers are kind of doing the same thing. And if your inbox is like my inbox, you're getting deluged with offers for yet another one of these free trainings. So if you're wanting to give value and give a free training in order to, build your email list, in order to build your audience, in order to nurture people into the work that you want to do. And it's a really good, this is a good idea. And these things have been successful and continue to be successful, but not at the same rate that they were. So what I've discovered is that you can create the same kind of training in the form of private audio. And what that means is that instead of having to consume the training on a computer where I have to sit down and watch a bunch of videos, I can listen to it in my ear. I can listen to it as a podcast that I get exclusively, and I listen to it the way I listen to all my other podcasts. It comes on my, on Spotify or the Apple Podcast app or whatever app I like using on my phone. And so I can now do this training and get this content anytime I'm doing anything. I can be doing my laundry. I can be doing the groceries. I can be driving my kids to wherever they need to go. I could be watching their soccer game and listening to content. Like all these things that I do that are busy parts of my life, I can be doing them because I need to do them, and I can consume this content. And what this means for us content creators is that this is much more likely that the people who we would like to serve, the people who do care about what we care about, are actually going to get our message. They're actually going to get the value that we want to give to them. They're actually going to be able to receive our generous gifts and be able to engage with us. And more importantly, they're going to learn whether or not they're a really great fit for the things that we have to offer them. And so when it comes to things like, the moment where you're making your offer and you're having a sales conversation, in a Zoom call or something, they will know right away in that moment before they get there that they're ready, like they're ready to say yes. And so your conversion and the whole process of moving people into your programs is going to be much, much easier. So I put this to the test, and I opened up this program I called Big Reach Audio, and we've just run this program for the first 6 weeks. And oh my gosh, the people in the program, what I've seen is what they're getting, like their results and the private podcasts that they've created, they're beautiful and they're so well done. Like I'm really impressed. And so, we just had our wrap-up call last night, and 2 of the people had completed their recordings already, like within the time frame of the course. And this was already being delivered. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like these guys have really done it. And not only that, but they're in this mode of like, this is great. Like I just want to keep exploring this medium because they can see the possibilities of doing this more and more. So if you're interested in joining us, the second cohort is starting right away. And so you can go to bigreachaudio.com and register and join us and go into this next thing, because I tell you, after the first iteration, we've got all this great content, and we're continuing to add and improve it and make it better. And I'm really pleased. I'm co-leading this program with a woman named Linda Morrison, who is a business coach and an amazing content creator, a very successful online entrepreneur who's based in Australia. And she and I have been co-leading this thing together, and it's really made this program very, very rich and deep because, I have my own thing that I bring, but Linda has a whole bunch of other stuff that she brings, and the two of us together have really added a lot of co-creation to this, which I'm delighted with. Like I'm really happy to have done this kind of co-teaching, this co-facilitating with another person. And it's the first time I've done an online program with someone else. And I'm really glad that we decided to do this, and we're going to keep on going. Like we're having a really enjoyable time together. So I'm sharing all that with you. You can check it out at bigreachaudio.com. And so Linda asked the question, do you think there's more of a shift from video to podcast? And that's a great question, Linda. And this is where I see the landscape. I think they all fit together. They all fit together. And the master, like what I'm just describing, is a way to get your whatever version of lead magnet you may be using in your business. One of the easiest and most effective and most efficient tools you can use as a lead magnet, I believe, right now, is a private audio podcast. And so what that does is that people opt in, like you create a landing page, people opt in, give you their email in trade for this training. And you give them a training that's valuable. You give them a training that you could charge for. And they will consume it because it's a podcast, because it's easier for them to fit it into their busy frame and their busy lifestyle. So that's the tool of moving people from being interested in your work and actually becoming a lead, actually becoming someone who's now on your email list so that you can continue the conversation with them and invite them to any number of things that you're doing. However, that's only one piece of the puzzle of running an online business. And the other parts of your marketing, like the strategy that I use and the strategy I'm using right in this moment, involves live video podcasting. And there's two versions of this. On one level, when I do a live video podcast, I just, like now, I'm going live solo all by myself, and I'm having interaction with people like you, Linda. And we have this conversation, and I'm showing up, and I'm offering value, and then I'm also listening to you and seeing what your questions are and responding to that. And so this is an interactive way that we can have a conversation about how to grow ourselves personally as content creators, and also how to grow our business using content creation. That's the purpose of the live stream show. And the other part of what I'm doing is that by bringing guests on, and again, like this is a podcast, it's a video podcast, by bringing a guest on live, a couple things happen. One is that I get to meet interesting people who I've never met before, who I'm very curious about and I actually want to get to know. And I want to find out, I want to actually learn from them in many cases. So I bring them on and we have this relatively deep conversation about something that we're both really passionate about and both really interested in. And that's just a rich experience. And because it's live and because it's a shared, like I can share this like I am now to LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube. And because it's scheduled in advance, I can, my guest can also share the stream to their social media pages. And so what we're doing in reality is that we are co-hosting a live event, like a one-time only live event. And we are inviting all of our people to come and join us at this event. So we're having a little party. We're having a salon, like a conversational salon, where we're inviting people in and saying, hey, here's what we're doing. Join us in this conversation. And so that's a really cool thing. And I'm getting to meet and grow my network with really interesting people. And the two of us together are collaborating to create an interesting conversation and an interesting live event. And then when it leads to all my other content marketing is that piece of content, the video that I make, I can take small excerpts, small little clips, maybe a minute long clip of something that the guest says that's really amazing. And I'll just take that one little video and I'll repost it. I'll repurpose it. And I can turn it into a blog post. I can put it up on Instagram. I can put it on any of my other platforms and share it there. And now, like by multi-purposing this kind of regular live streaming, I've got an online presence that's very deep, rich, omnipresent. I'm all over the place. And so now, I am building an online presence, which is all based on this foundation of showing up, listening to my audience, and being generous. And every time I do anything, I'm always asking those questions. What do I want to create, and what do I want to contribute, and what do I want to experience each time? And there you go. So there we go. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. And I'm so glad you're here. Check out bigreachaudio.com. Join us over there. Man, there are good things happening. It will be good for you. It will be so good for you. And the other thing is that, creating an audio lead magnet, oh man, it's not hard. Like the technical part is actually not hard. The technical part is probably the easiest part. And where we go deep is really about designing a lead magnet that in fact will move people to take action. What's the narrative arc that you're creating in your lead magnet so that when people come in and they do the work, they'll actually do the work and then they'll be motivated to do even more. So if that's interesting to you, bigreachaudio.com. Hope to see you there, and stay tuned. I'm actually going live tomorrow with another guest, and we're going to talk about how you can be outrageously happy. Is it possible? I'm wondering if that's true. Anyway, that's who Elizabeth Manuel is the guest. She's going to be here tomorrow, Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Until then, keep on doing good stuff. So long, everyone.